there is a very well-known and well-respected pro-gun group that is being accused of having a registry of gun owners' information and leaking that for political gain. Today I'm going to tell you exactly who this organization is and who has actually found this information, which is actually another pro-gun group, or at least that's what they say. So I kind of want to clear up some of the facts here, because if you see this story and you're like, man, this sounds really bad, and when I tell you who the organization is, you're probably going to know them instantly, it's going to raise some eyebrows. But I at least want to cut through some of the noise and give you the facts here, because there's something that this other pro-gun group is actually leaving out, but there's also some truth behind this as well. Very interesting story, and of course I'm going to give you my opinion along the way, and I want to hear yours as well. Let me know what you think. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So the NSSF, this is the pro-gun group that is actually being accused of keeping somewhat of a registry of gun owners' information and using that for political gain. Now, how are they getting your information? Well, this is like when you fill out your warranty cards through Glock, Smith & Wesson, any of them. Essentially, those manufacturers then give that information over to the NSSF so the NSSF can then use it. And so when this was found out, the NSSF has basically said, hey, everything we've done has fallen within, legal guidelines and is an industry standard practice. Okay, well, Richard Blumenthal says, hey, we need to get the FBI, the FTC, the ATF, maybe the NOAA, the ATP, the LOL, and maybe even the IRS to investigate into what is going on here with the NSSF, because they are breaking the trust of gun owners everywhere. This is kind of one of those stories that you're like, holy crap. When you read it, you're like, this is a big story, right? This is a very well-respected group. Why would they be taking my information from gun manufacturers? Why would gun manufacturers be releasing this information? And why would they be leaking it off? Now, they're using some pretty strong terms here. Data weaponization and privacy concerns and secret sharing of customer data. And the thing is, there's actually truth behind this. Now, the other pro-gun group that's calling them out is the Gun Owners for Safety. A fairly new organization, but facts are facts, right? Well, the problem is Gun Owners for Safety disguise themselves. They're kind of like a Trojan horse, if you will, because they disguise themselves as pro-gun, but when you see who is actually behind them, which is Giffords, then you get a different understanding. Okay, well, we know Giffords, right? They are huge gun control advocates, right? They've pushed for everything under the sun. Maybe they've stopped short, but if they haven't, they've gotten real close to just basically saying, hey, let's abolish the Second Amendment. I mean, I don't know that they've openly come out and said that. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't, but they push for everything, right? And then you look at Richard Blumenthal, looks like a really trustworthy guy. Totally trustworthy.
Shame on you.
And you look at his history and he's pushed for kind of all the same things. Assault weapons ban and red flags and safe storage, liability. I mean, just the whole host of things Richard Blumenthal has come after gun owners, their rights, and the gun industry as a whole. Now, the NSSF has confirmed this. They're like, yeah, we legally got information within the bounds and terms of conditions of warranty cards and claims and all that kind of stuff. And we have gotten gun owner information, some of which includes name, phone number, address, maybe even information about how many people are in your home and if you have kids, things like that, possibly. That's not as clear, but definitely name, phone number, email, stuff like that, addresses, I guess, and use that for political purposes, but it's for pro-gun advocacy. So they admitted this back in 2016 that they worked with Cambridge Analytical to target pro-gun voters and kind of mobilize gun owners to get out and vote. But the problem is it's not a leak, right? They didn't sell your information. They weren't hacked. So it's not really a leak, it's more of, hey, your information, you didn't really sign up for that, right? Or you didn't knowingly sign up for that. When you filled out that warranty registration, which I never do any of these, I can't tell you the last time I did one. I may have done one or two along the way, but generally speaking, any kind of warranty on a firearm that I have. I never fill out these cards. Don't ask me why. I just don't. I don't know. Anything with my information and my guns, very hesitant on giving that out. Just like whenever you get gun insurance, right? Actual insurance on your firearms. Any company that says I have to give my serial numbers over to them and stuff like that, I'm not about that. Now, if it's one or two, right, some will say, hey, you need to, give us information only on guns of 10,000 and more or something, which I don't have any of those anyways. But if it's one or two like that, okay, I kind of get that. But if they requested all of that information, yeah, absolutely not. The point is, you filling out those cards and you didn't knowingly or willingly say, hey, I agree to have my information sent off to a third party, NSSF in this case, and have them use it so they can reach other pro-gun people or myself. Now, of course, anytime you fill out any kind of information, the small print, which is kind of deceptive in and of itself, because first of all, the older I get, the more I realize, man, it's really hard to read that small print. So that's my issue. It may not be yours, but regardless, it's not they're not as forthcoming with that kind of stuff. So you sign off on stuff like this all the time, and our data is constantly being bought and sold. Every time you're online, you look up something to buy, you see that information in the web browsers a month from now, right? Just constantly popping up, right? So this is nothing new to us, but that doesn't excuse the fact that, hey, gun owners didn't knowingly or willingly sign up for that. At least I would say a vast majority of them. But the way Gun Owners for Safety is framing this is like, oh, the NSSF is clearly making a registry. They are using your personal data, using it against you. And when they frame the situation like that, gun owners get very skeptical when they hear about a registry and having their information. So Gun Owners for Safety, this is yet just another attempt for them to use trustworthy gun owners supported by Giffords and of course people like Richard Blumenthal. This is kind of a scheme to push for more gun control. Specifically, they want you to distrust gun companies and the NSSF. They want to get these federal agencies involved so there's then more oversight, and they would like to divide the gun community so that there's very little trust between us. On the surface, it sounds really bad when you read an article like this, but once you dig just a little bit deeper, it's like, this whole thing kind of falls apart because of who is actually behind it and the way in which the data was actually received and then given. It wasn't actually a leak. So a very deceptive tactic. And some of the words that they use too kind of fits in perfectly. It's kind of a great runoff from the video I just did talking about how the left and liberals specifically use certain words. They've kind of won, and I think the tide is turning now on the whole culture war and the war on words, but they've used that very successfully over decades now to demonize gun owners and to push for further restrictions, and things just like this are how they are able to do it. But fortunately, we can see through this and it's just a bunch of nonsense. That does not excuse that the NSSF really should not be obtaining information like this, and in my opinion, gun companies shouldn't be giving your information off. They should make it very clear whether you want that or not. But it's just very misleading in the way that Gun Owners for Safety phrases what's actually going on. There you go. There's my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.